Hi, I'm Maddie, sitting down with another of the Currents virtual sessions. You just heard Be Sweet from A Japanese Breakfast. We are sitting down today with Michelle Zauner to talk a little bit about the upcoming album, Jubilee. Thank you, Michelle, for taking the time to be here.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to listen to one more track off the upcoming album, and then have a little conversation about music and all of that good stuff. Here is Japanese Breakfast now with Kokomo.
If I could throw my arms around you for just another day, maybe it'd feel like first time. Now that you're away, I can spend my life not knowing how it feels.
You just heard Kokomo from Japanese Breakfast. I'm sitting down with Michelle today to talk about Japanese Breakfast's upcoming album, Jubilee. Michelle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, I know that you had mentioned earlier that you're in your apartment in Brooklyn. How has your springtime routine been? What have you been up to? What's been keeping you busy?
Oh, I've mostly just been doing interviews for the album and the book from my apartment, but I'm looking forward to the weather getting really nice and playing shows again, hopefully pretty soon here.
Yeah. It's kind of a crazy timeline to have your memoir crying in H Mart come out in this April, and now we've got Jubilee on the way in just a couple of weeks now, June 4th. What was the timeline like in creating those two projects for you?
Sure. I wrote, I submitted my rough draft for the book in July of 2019, and then I had
Mm-hmm.
like a 6 month window of time between when my editor had the book and when I would start tackling the revision. And so I wrote the album from July 2019 to December 2019, and the record was actually supposed to come out in the summer of 2020 and then got pushed
Mm-hmm.
a year later. So now they're sort of coming out on top of each other.
In sort of having the album in that sort of interim period with your book, do you think that writing a book changed the way that you approach songwriting for this new album?
I think in a way, the last two records and then this book were largely
Mm-hmm.
about grief and loss and losing my mom to cancer in 2014. And I think that the book really afforded me all of the space that I needed to talk about that experience. And I was able to kind
Mm-hmm.
of shift gears and start this new chapter with this album, which is largely about joy and new themes in my artistic work for the first time in 7 years. So I feel like that's how the book helped me sort of land on this new unexpected theme of joy.
How do you feel joy manifests itself in your songwriting? I know some of these singles we have so far, like Posing in Bondage, are still songs that are very like heady and I guess like less overtly happy. Yeah, what does joy mean to you in sort of songwriting?
Yeah, I think that the album tackles joy as a broad theme. Some of the songs on the
Mm-hmm.
record are about protecting joy or struggling to feel joy or reminding yourself joy or giving yourself permission to feel joy or yeah, they're all different ways of interacting with joy, and sometimes it feels sonically more upbeat and sometimes it doesn't. And I feel like the joy is a rare and precious thing, and most of the time it's something that we're chasing, and so I think a lot of the songs are
Mm-hmm.
are about that.
Yeah, you mentioned that you ended writing this album towards the end of 2019, and then with everything having the album delayed, do you think that the way that you look at these songs has changed over the past 2 years?
Yeah, I think that I still think it's my best work. I feel like if anything, the time away from it made me appreciate those songs even more
Mm-hmm.
and understand their hopeful, lasting power, I guess. But yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I find as I get older and the sort of novelty of finishing a large creative project kind of wears off, I don't have the same kind of appreciation for my work when I finish it. When I finish the
Mm-hmm.
record and when I finish the album, when I finish the album, when I finish the book, like I didn't feel anything. Like I felt very
Mm-hmm.
confused and sort of devastated that it was just over and that was it. And now it just takes
Mm-hmm.
me a longer period of time to understand their strengths and whether or not I even enjoy it. So yeah, that's a kind of new thing that actually coming back to this record a year later makes me appreciate even more.
Absolutely. It's going to be exciting to get to see these songs live for the first time. We have our sort of like virtual versions of those, and I know you have tour dates on the way in the fall. How do you feel about performing live in this sort of new sonic palette that I kind of hear you exploring on some of these tracks?
I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a real wild ride trying to figure out how to make some of these songs come to life, because there's a lot of instrumentation that we couldn't tour with like a
Mhm.
symphony or anything. But yeah, we're adding two more members. We are probably going to have
Mhm.
Adam Schatz on the saxophone, and we're going to have someone, some amazing Swiss Army knife of a musician, play violin and guitar, and maybe even harp sometimes. So yeah, I'm
Mhm.
really excited to bring these songs to life. I think they're going to be really fantastic live.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see them. What kind of motivated you or inspired you to bring in this different instrumentation and all these different sounds on this album?
I think I just had enough time to feel confident in handling the arrangement of them. Like, our palette
Mhm.
just got larger. And part of that was touring for the last 3 years and getting to meet all of these extraordinary musicians like Adam Schatz
Mhm.
from Landlady, and Molly Germer, who plays violin and comes with this whole network of fantastic string players. And also working with Craig Hendricks, who's our live drummer, but has also co-produced this album and the last record, and
Mhm.
has this Berklee School of Music education. And he really kind of gave me the confidence to try writing horn and string arrangements on my own. And so, yeah, collaborating on those for this record, I think, just made a lot more sense. And especially when we were going for a third album that felt more theatrical and ambitious and bombastic, it felt pretty natural to incorporate more like larger arrangements onto it.
How has being at home for now, I guess, a year and a couple months changed how you look at your music and how you look at writing music?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think that one nice thing was that I got a lot better at the piano. I was practicing a lot of piano, and I
Mhm.
think that there's some comfort in practicing an instrument, especially during a time in which you have very little control over a situation. That you can
Mhm.
return to this practice and watch
Mhm.
yourself slowly get better at something. I think that there's a comfort in that, especially during a time where nothing is really in your control. So I found a lot of comfort in practicing the piano and the guitar during this time. So
Absolutely.
nerdy answer.
just continually practicing and getting better at things, but that's such an interesting way to look at it, to having these kind of metrics that aren't time to measure time passing. I think is a valuable and probably healthy way to look at the past year.
Yeah,
um
definitely.
yeah, oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say,
um
Adam Schatz, the saxophone player, he has like
mhm,
this really incredible piece in the New York Times about learning this really difficult Randy Newman song that I would highly recommend
mhm,
people check out.
absolutely. We're going to hear another song from you here in this session, and it's part of your project Bumper, which you released an EP for at the tail end of 2020. Do you want to talk about that project a little bit and what kind of motivated you to jump in on that one?
Yeah, I think that because the record got pushed back a year, I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
do something that just, got to be released immediately, and was just scratch the itch that was
Mm-hmm.
taken from me in this way. So Ryan Galloway, who plays in this extremely underrated band called Crying, is actually my
Mm-hmm.
neighbor. Like, he lives like 3 blocks away from me, but this was during I think June, during lockdown, and so we never actually saw each other. We were just passing
Mm-hmm.
songs back and forth um, to make this EP for this, like, it's kind of just like a pop EP. It's just like unapologetically
Mm-hmm.
very pop, sort of inspired by Japanese city pop music. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we started working together on a track called Slide Tackle that's on the album. And I've just always really admired him. And when we were working on that song, he sort of showed me this folder of real bops that he had no real plans to do anything with. And so I was like, we should open those up and write some pop songs together. So we passed those back and forth. But this song was the kind of outlier on that EP. It was called Ballad, and was just kind of like this piano track I submitted, and he took it in this kind of weird direction, and I wasn't like totally happy with it. And so we
Mm-hmm.
reworked it as a band into this almost kind of like country duet, which I like a lot more, and maybe we'll end up on like the 4th Japanese breakfast record or something. And it makes no sense for me to put this out now, but I think has just been really fun to play live, and so I wanted to include it on there.
That's like one thing that I know I've been missing a lot is when bands are able to pull in like these live songs that maybe haven't had a place on the record yet, and share those with audiences. And so it's really cool that we're going to get to experience that here. Completely aside, one of my best friends has just been saying that this is the summer of the country duet, and so it's so funny that is.
Yeah.
I don't know why she's kind of come to that conclusion, but I'm excited that Japanese breakfast is also kind of there in the world of country duets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited to hear the country duet rendition of Bumper O here. Thank you again, Michelle, for sitting down with me today.
Thank you for having me.
This has been another one of the Currents virtual sessions. Huge thank you to Michelle Zauner of Japanese Breakfast for being here. Thank you to Evan Click for engineering this session, Jesse Wiza for producing, and the members of Minnesota Public Radio for making it all possible.